Hello everyone, it's Cribini and Tina.
Hi.
Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having just a wonderful day, and I hope that you're in the best of health.
Yes, with health, as always, being most important. Today we are going to talk about the beach fantasy that we live in our heads, but then we have to also remember what lies underneath. So I'm going to hit you with some facts and figures, some things that you might not know, because everyone says that we're sugarcoat. No more sugarcoating. I feel like we always give you the real, but we're going to give you some real numbers. So here we go.
Here we go.
In the Dominican Republic right now, more than 40% of the population was living below the poverty line, and then COVID hit. So that poverty line jumped significantly due to COVID-19 and all the shutdowns, which we know.
That's right, and that's something to remember when you get here. COVID is still very much alive here.
Yes. Well, I would say the aftermath of it, but yes. Families here are either very, very rich or very poor. There, again, like I've said in other videos, is a middle class, but the middle class is very skewed, especially now because of COVID. Mm-hmm. It already was almost non-existent, and now it's even worse. So when you pack up your children because you want to live this better lifestyle or this beach California type like living or Florida living where it's coastal living, you have to know that you're also going to have to prepare, because you're going to give your children that mental shift that they may not be prepared for. So the reason we're doing this is because a lot of people are choosing to bring entire families and not adults. We have always been a retirement and relocation channel, meaning that the majority of the people who are contacting us and coming out here are adults. Adults obviously have been through things. You guys have lived life. You've learned the hard way. You've learned the easy way. Right. But you know the ins and outs, and I call it streetwise. Being right. Streetwise. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because leaving the USA doesn't mean that you're leaving all the problems. By no means. Problems are absolutely everywhere, and we've said that. Crime is absolutely everywhere. But here you have to remember that children are going to be exposed to early marriages, because the average age of the kids getting married out here is between 14 and 16 years old. Unsafe and unregulated working conditions for some of these children, because they have to work to help to support the family, meaning they don't go to school, they go to work.
Right.
It's not regulated. And high rates of teen pregnancy.
So you got to consider that when you bring your family out here. You got to watch your kids.
Right.
You got to watch them every second. And because we're just going to give you information that you'll know and prepare you and your family for your transition here, if that's the route you're going to take.
Right, because again, because of the poverty level, there is a lot of malnutrition, exposure to a lot of violence, because a lot of these women are having children while they're children. And let's face it, they may get into unsafe environments with a man, or they just can't even control their own actions or reactions with their kids. They're not ready to be parents. And also the lack of educational opportunities. So let's jump into some of these. Only 60%, and I'm being very moderate, but 60% of the children complete their primary education here. Many families have to encourage their kids to drop out of school and to work full time to help household finances. Like we said, we had an old video, gosh, it was like over a year, right? Mm-hmm. Where we were like, what's up with, like the tipping of the baggers? What's going on?
At the grocery store.
Right. And a Dominican wrote in and said, hey, listen, these mostly are kids that had to quit school. They might look old, but they're kids.
They're kids.
And they're bagging your groceries, and the only money that they're making is the tip that you're giving them. They don't get a salary.
That's right. Right. So yeah, we got somebody that wrote in and they broke it down for us,
right.
Explained to us. And every time I have a bagger, I give them something, give them a few pesos, whatever store that I go to, I try to leave something, because that's really a young age to not be in school getting an education,
right.
And you bagging groceries.
And we've been at restaurants, high-end, regular, and there's kids out there and they're begging, and you're thinking, wow. At first I was thinking, wow, all these kids are homeless. No. That's how the kids make their money. They shoe shine, they beg, they sell little trinkets or whatever. They do things to the foreigners, like selling or stealing, whatever they have to do, because in the end, the family has to eat. The family has to have a place to live. The family needs electric. They need some kind of clean running water. So these are things that you'll see little kids out doing, and you'll think, that they'll tell you, and some of them will say, oh yeah, I don't have no family, I don't have no family. And then you see them going around the corner and giving the money to an older person. Well, that's the person in their family. And also, if you are bringing children and you want to enroll them in school, if the children are not bilingual and they're not attending an accredited bilingual school, then it's only natural that they're going to fall behind. And we know that falling behind is very frustrating to a child. It causes them to have self-esteem issues. Then they want to get to the point where they want to drop out. They don't really want to finish school because they've always been so behind in school. And I'll tell you like this, I can reverse it and give you a reverse perspective. I was raised by my grandmother most of the day because my mother had to work. And my grandmother spoke Spanish. So when I got into kindergarten, I was speaking Spanish. And I remember my mom telling me, no more Spanish in the house. And I was like, and she goes, teacher says we have to speak English. And they put me in special ed. And that's like, it's insane to even think that I would have been in special ed, because I've always been in like advanced classes. And I knew my alphabet, I knew everything, I knew my numbers, but because I was speaking Spanish, Spanglish kind of, is really what I was speaking, they put me in special ed until I could prove to them that I would only speak in English. So imagine the same thing here. Your child comes to a all Spanish school, and they don't understand the English. They will be held behind.
That's for sure. That right there is just a big transition for a kid to have to deal with.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But parents have to make hard decisions all the time.
Right.
When you're here and you're thinking about the fantasy of, oh my God, my child's going to be bilingual and I'm going to be on the beach and I'm going to be sipping margaritas, let's not forget that the decisions that we make also affect our children, and that's going to affect your children for their life.
And this is something to think about, because
it's a tough one.
It's a tough one, because we see what's happening here, because we've been living here for 2 years.
Yeah.
So we see the education level, and I've had some experience with people that I thought could actually read when I went to show them a document, adults, and they could not read, period. No. Then I got it. That's when I got it. Then I went in the store and I seen young kids bagging groceries.
Right. And the big thing here, if you guys have been watching the news and the video in the Dominican Republic, with the new president, there has been a huge shift on tourism, meaning his main focus has been to expand tourism.
Right, absolutely.
It's been to enhance airports, enhance the highways to get people back and forth between these hotels and these airports, pushing for bigger hotels, pushing for all these things on the north and on the south coast. But remember this, that with the expansion of tourism also brings a portal for young women and children to be exploited for sex. So remember this, you bring your children out here. I'm going to just use this as a scenario. You bring your child out here, or I should use Las Vegas actually as a scenario. I worked with a sex trafficking nonprofit in Las Vegas, and we tried to help people who were being trafficked or used for prostitution willingly or unwillingly in Las Vegas through like the porn industry and the strip clubs. 9 times out of 10, when you sit and you talk to these young women and you ask them how did they get into that business, it's one of two answers. It was either fast money or it was someone they knew. Everyone thinks that the pimp is like this guy that is like 40 years old and got a little swag and comes up to these little 16-year-old girls and tells them, hey, you're going to come work for me. That is not the truth. In all actuality, the person that is the closest to your child, 9 times out of 10, it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a best friend, a classmate. that they lure them or talk them into the business by telling them, hey, it's easy money, it's fast money, look at me, I got this purse, I got this shoes, this guy takes such good care of me, you're not eating, your family can't afford to feed you or whatever, look, hang out with me, we're going to all these places, we're doing all this fun stuff with these guys when they come into town, come do this with us. And the child is then brought into sex trafficking.
Right.
And then becomes the person that you see on the beach. And let's be clear, I have been to the north, I have been to the south. We saw an 80-year, he had to at least be 80.
At least 80.
He could barely walk in the sand. Year-old Italian guy. And he was being held by a girl that looked like she was 16, and she was his little chica. And she was barely keeping him up standing because he could barely walk through that sand, and was with him the whole day, saw him later at a restaurant and everything. They come out here specifically for that. So the expansion of tourism is also bringing men and women, to be clear, to come out here to look for sex with other men and women. So when you are moving to those coasts, to these beautiful beaches, you are exposing your children to A, seeing that, and B, being around the children that are doing that. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, because I mean, it happened in Vegas all the time.
Welcome to the Dominican Republic.
But it's everywhere.
But you gotta keep your eyes open. You gotta watch. It's not like you in the Hamptons and you just send your kid down the street and let him play and everything is gonna be cool, nice, peachy cream.
Right.
No, it don't work like that in some areas here.
Yeah.
So you got to keep your eyes open. You got to watch your kids. You got to watch who they hang around with.
Yes.
The whole thing, because it's all about some areas here, the hustle and the grind and fast, quick money.
Yes, and there is, again, a ton of expats. Some of them even have YouTube channels that are coming out here, getting people to come out here, promoting parties where they are getting these young girls and these young boys, because there are men that come out here for boys and there's girls and women that come out here for boys. And they're getting these youngsters, I would say youngsters, because 16 to 18 to me is a child. They get these 19, 20-year-old girls, and they put them all in barely any clothes, and boom, they're having a party. Come on, come by, pay these girls. Yeah, you can pay them next to nothing. It's ridiculous. So just remember that, oh, I see a YouTube channel. Yeah, I thought that happened there, but I'm going to live there. It's not going to happen to me. It's not if. It's when.
It's when. And don't think that families come out here and they're all together as one. Very nice. But sometimes that man's wife is propositioned, and sometimes that woman's husband is propositioned.
Right in front of the spouse.
Right in front. They don't listen. If it's business, it's just business. Because I was hit on. And I was walking with 2 or 3 other guys up in the north. And I was hit on, poppy this, poppy that. Right. Didn't know me from the man in the moon, okay? So it's just something for you to consider, and you got to be on guard at all times.
So now, is this a DR is horrible video? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Are we telling you don't ever come out here? No.
Mm-mm.
But it's just that you need to remember that an adult can maneuver and adjust. You see what I'm saying? If an adult sees something he doesn't want to be around or he doesn't want to engage in, he can maneuver and say, all right, so what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to hang out on that side of the beach, or I'm not going to be at that bar where all those chicas are. I'm going to choose as an adult with some street smart to go somewhere else and have fun with my family and my friends. A child doesn't have that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Have that option
you're an adult. You have life experience. You can make wise decisions.
Right.
But do not put that pressure, is what I'm saying. I don't understand. And maybe it's just me, and this is all, again, my own personal opinion. I don't have children that are young, but I also know that I would not bring any of my nieces or small nephews around that stuff, because I would not want them to have to deal with that mentally, and then have all the questions to ask, like, what's going on? What's that? And why is that little girl holding that man? Is that her daddy? Is that her grandpa? And then you have to sit there and have a discussion you were not prepared to have with your 9-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Or your 10-year-old, or even, your 12 to 14-year-old. You're just not ready to have that kind of conversation. So remember that the decisions that you make as an adult will also affect your entire family.
Right. So what we're trying to say is, you come out here and you're going to bring a whole family, you're going to bring kids. Do your recon first. Do your search, and make sure you come out here by yourself or whatever. Leave the kids back in the States until you come out here. Check certain areas out,
Right.
okay?
That are family friendly.
That are family friendly. Every beach location is not a beach location. It could be a cliff.
Because I would consider Playa Alicia
Right.
like a family beach. It's
Right.
quiet, it's clean. There's not a lot of poachers, right? But then if you go a few steps over, you're at Sosua Beach, and it's the scum of the earth. Like, I'm sorry, but it is. There's all kinds of people trying to reach in your pockets, pickpocket you, get you to buy sex, get you to buy drugs. There's everything on that end of the beach. And they're literally, they butt up to each other. A cliff is the only thing that really separates
them.
And one other thing before we wrap this up, yes, we do consultations, but I will tell you this, I will send you your money back in a heartbeat if you're asking me to do a consultation for an entire family, because I cannot in good conscience in certain areas tell somebody that I think it's a great idea to bring kids. And that's actually what prompted this video.
So, in the meantime, between time, always remember that life is to be enjoyed.
Yes, always make sure to hit that subscribe, hit that notification. Always give this and all videos a thumbs up, because hitting that subscribe and hitting that thumbs up is the free and easy way to patron the channel. And as always, all information is underneath the video in case you would like to go to buy me a coffee for that consultation, or just to say thank you by hitting that happy hour button.
So, until next video,